However, we are watching two teams who, in the first map, showed us a lot of pug stuff. It was stuff that I would say there was a little bit of kind of tactical idea behind them, but wasn't
like
nothing
basic
that was set in
smoke
stone.
setups and
Yeah, it was very much kind of
taking over mid control. But then every single time they took mid control, except I think once they went A, and that was the one time that we saw the position actually get taken over in ladder, and then they ended up going A anyway. So, like the utilization of mid was not done to the best of the ability. I'm looking to see whether or not I am going to be completely wrong. I'll be happy if I'm completely wrong, and this isn't a pug style map, and we'll see them use all this tactical basis. But at the same time, to start, we are just seeing the sort of basic stuff, pushing toilets, pushing aggressive towards long as well to get the information out. And then on the sort of B side, we do have what looks like a pretty static hold. Is there a boost in play at the moment? I'm guessing that's what that is. So they have got the boost towards the back of the site, which means that they do currently have 3 people dedicated over towards B. And the aggression from Weber, well, he has to fall back now. Use that little bit of utility that he has, because if the kit is dropped to where he is now, that is completely useless to his team.
I love the fact that you have a dream that he is going to fall back, but he's going to sit there and he's kind of pitched his tent, goes to the frag, and actually just going to be led to his death. So the kit is now stuck in, well, out in the sticks. They need a 4x4 to get that far. Leaving it, well, pretty damn detached. We could see Rattlesnake try and go for a bit of a push to get it back, but it's quite a long way to run and quite a lot of time to expend when we are getting down to kind of the 35-second marker. And already, Tom, you look like you're getting pretty damn stressed.
I don't know why the guy with the kit was the one to go furthest forward. It doesn't make any sense either way. Mole and Aaron are combining with a nice crossfire, but eventually the Barrels player will go down, and we're just looking at this sort of rotation with the bomb being planted. We know that the time is limited, but luckily for the CT side, the remaining players have set this up nicely with the crossfire, and the kit will not play too much of a part. Mole, with 3 kills, really holding that back line very well, and the boost was actually pretty damn effective.
Yeah, it was quite literally the crossfire, and basically Mole hitting his shot was the one on that round.
Because he was boosted up by Cryptics, right?
Yeah, so the kind of the team play was certainly kind of evident with the boost, and it did kind of pay some huge dividends for them. So they do find themselves a pissed around, giving WarMonkeys kind of a little bit more of a rough time in terms of getting their way into this map. They aren't really going to be putting too much emphasis on forcing up or anything crazy. Of course, they've got that bomb down, so they've got a little bit extra money to play with. It's going to be them just going passively with a 5-man stack of P250s.
Yeah, again, not too surprised if we just see an aggressive push. I think we've just seen Critical saying, go get the bomb. And then you will go and see Ali like, I don't want to get the bomb. And then he goes and gets the bomb. So already the aggression from the CT side. Well, that's exactly what happened. That was a perfect aspiration of what they're currently being saying in their,
it's almost like just watching
team speak.
Watching some teams just act it out. It's a bit of a theatre play. In terms of what WarMonkeys is still trying to do, they're somewhat kind of still relatively far back, not really getting up too close just yet. Going to be looking to put some pressure on towards kind of the intersections of toilets, as well as something over towards long, which will mean Rattlesnake has to make a decision in terms of where he wants to peek. He should really just be looking towards long, knowing his teammate Weber has got toilets covered. Weber is actually going to go a little bit aggressive, which will potentially give an opportunity for some work to be done, as Ofka Rattlesnake have to peek a little bit closer, but Weber will come in from behind and do his job.
Yeah, again, Rattlesnake seems to always get hit. He's never, I don't think I've seen him have a clean round once. Always seems to be the target of these pistols. Has to be a little bit careful because he does have one of the M4s in play, which is obviously the most valuable of the weaponry they have, alongside his teammate of Mole, currently on the other side of the site. The bomb still in the hands of Ali, and Rattlesnake will in fact fall second as well. There's still potential for this bomb, but Cryptics will ruin it, and well, now you've got to see whether or not he can actually retrieve the M4. I do not think he can, so a little bit of a costly round at least. And this gives a good opportunity now, because the T's are buying back in. You know that there's going to have to be a rebuy of sorts, at least, onto one of the players, which will be Rattlesnake. The rest of the team, they lost 2 players, so they're going to have that FAMAS dropped as well. And to get 5 rifles on the board actually puts them on a position where they could be reset themselves.
Yeah, reset certainly is going to be lingering. It was, albeit they lost 2, still relatively kind of close to that clean marker. Just
against P250s, it's not great.
It's not by no means great, but it is an opportunity still for them to make sure they do get rifles in play, which it could have been much worse. Of course, it is still that opportunity for WarMonkeys to come back flying in, as they have a clear-cut advantage. You have to say, just a FAMAS up against a rifle, not necessarily a gunfight that is going to be too pretty of a gunfight at that. They do have a little bit to play with. Not really making too much movement just yet from WarMonkeys, as they are just going to be biding their time over towards Connector, getting themselves some map control. Cryptics is going to be just going for a bit of a jump peek. Now he has spotted them out, so he knows they are going to be barreling up towards short very, very soon. There are a return will coming from WarMonkeys as they will try and find themselves a bit of a frag or even just some damage through the side of the wood. isn't really going to mean anything just yet, as Skipping is just going to be shooting around the portrait of his teammate to try and find a couple more frags.
Yeah, utility is definitely somewhat of a problem for the T side with 2 smokes, 2 flashes, all that remains in their hands. And well, it's looking like they are going to go for somewhat of a setup, but it could just be a fake because the bomb is actually rotating its way back, and they do still have a couple of their nades. One of the smokes has already been thrown out and will in fact go down towards that B side. The rotation thinking to come out from Rattlesnake, but the second he spots the player, has to be careful. Missed shot from capping, but eventually gets the job done. Now you look at Weber, he will be able to trade this out, but it gives them a good opportunity now to explode onto the B site, already finding a couple of kills. Leaves just Mole left. He's got a hell of a lot of work to do. Should be able to drop the bomb, though. Has to be careful from above as Cruiser is too quick, and this leaves just Weber left. We know that the money is already in a hugely problematic scenario for the CT side, and Weber now with 17 HP surely just has to run away.
Yeah, it's just going to be looking to go back to the sticks, try and take that rifle into the next round, and be a bit of a kind of a pinnacle player to keep an eye on, because Fish, they really won't be able to put too much into this one. They could try and maybe go for a force, but I wouldn't even say that's a smart play at this one. I'm trying to kind of get a rough gist on where their economy was at before. They did lose themselves 2 rifles, of course, which it is a bit of a prompt in itself, because that is, you can look at that, you know, a multitude of ways, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. WarMonkeys, they've taken advantage of that kind of definition round. They were lacking on utility, but they didn't even need it. So it has kind of really paid some dividends for them. Weber will get away with that rifle for the most part intact. 17 HP is by no means a great marker. It is going to be meaningless in just a few moments' time. As now we get to see, well, what is the play coming from Fish? We kind of do get to see a bit of a clear-cut picture on what their economy is going to be. And you look at Aaron, 1,450, by no means a good opportunity. And well, that really does set the pace when you look at Rattlesnake as well. I would be heavily surprised if they tried to do anything at all in this round. But Fish has decided they just don't care. They're just going to buy everything. And I don't know if I agree with this.
It's based off the fact that they have had their sort of, well, there's no loss bonus. It's going to be 1,900 in the next round, so the buy wouldn't be able to have a rifle anyway. So sort of going for an eco in the next and then buying after that, it is understandable. The money position can work out for them, and then at least in this round they get an avenue to play off with the opportunity. Hey, a rifle drops a rifle, we end up with an extra one. However, so far, not so good. Rattlesnake will be dropped out of the round, capping, looking to try and get towards this connection point and take over a little bit more map control. At the moment, they are quite, well, isolated in their positions. A lot of it comes around that connector point, and we now look at Weber. He has one of the 2 rifles that are actually in play, and he's trying to take a bit of an aggressive standpoint. The bomb is all the way back over towards that sort of playground area, so there is an opportunity. Aaron, in fact, will peek out, but they're taking a hell of a lot of damage. But Aaron, okay, 3 kills off the bat of that peak. Somehow they've brought this into a contentious round. You look towards the T's, however, critical. He's got himself back into the site, but Aaron, he gets his 4th of the round. This leaves just Ovker left to try and fight this one back. WarMonkeys have fallen at the hurdle, and the hurdle is Aaron. However, Ovker, down to 20 HP, gets 1 kill back, has an opportunity at least to get the bomb down. Will throw out the smoke to try and give him a bit of a chance, but in fact that smoke has actually caught him out a little bit, doesn't give him too much space, and he has to jump through the smoke, which does have its risks about it, but luckily for him, there's nobody on the site.
Getting the plant will be rather helpful in terms of the economic game, but for now, sole goal is to find himself the frag, but he's just going to peek on out in towards Aaron, picks himself up an ace, and what an absolute monster in terms of the context of this round.
You're still not happy with the button? No, I'm kidding.
I do agree. Like, we see it quite a lot, like a much higher level of Counter-Strike, that sort of response coming on in. But in the context of these 2 teams, it's exceptionally risky, because you see a lot of teams do this at this sort of level, and 9 times out of 10, it fails. But when you then throw in a player like Aaron, who just decides, you know what, today's the day, this is the round, I'm going to pull out an ace out of my back pocket, then hey, we can't take anything away from him, right? It's not like we could, you know, predict that happening. So huge credit goes to Aaron for making it
now
work.
The force comes back on the other side too. AWP, we've got the AK.
They've actually got more to play with.
Sort of. I'd say that there was more utility on the other side of things. And wow, already aggressive push comes out. A lot of damage done. Rattlesnake, of course, taking the brunt. He is always seemingly taking the hit, shedding his skin and running away. T-side, however, have lost one of their players, but it was only a Tech 9. In terms of the amount of rifles they have, it's a similar circumstance with an AWP instead of 1. And, well, Mole's actually going to hit the shot through the wood to take down capping. So nice start already. There's a UMP now on the floor ready to be picked up, but the T side not really going to be going back for that one. And, well, WarMonkeys, they're doing this because they have the same opportunity that was up against them, the chance to reset their opposition and save their economy. The problem is now it's looking like they're going to be going back towards the reset and a 4th round on the board for Fish. Still,
just don't have a player who's going to pull an ace, basically. It's what's going wrong for them right now. There is no individual picks that are working for them. They're trying to force an angle. You can look at Ofka and go, well, Weber's deciding, you know what, I'm going to keep on jumping and over and over and over again. But that's only one pick. It's still
he's got it.
Hugely stacked. Cryptix is going to drop Cruiser. Your belief is really starting to get almost to a dumbfounded level at this point because it is just those 2 players. Cryptix should be able to catch one off guard and actually going to make a bit of a mess of things, so I'm hoping they don't mess this one up, but Cryptix will eventually be aided as Rattlesnake will steal the frag away, and it is just your man, Ofka, to pull off the 1 versus 3, and my belief is pretty non-existent at this point. I do think that he should just be shut down, but he's been given some room, and kind of almost kind of illy confident in Fish for giving him this much room, but Aaron is going to come in from Bank and do the work.
Team-Ace comes in this time for Fish, so a complete switch around from the last round. And the big problem now for WarMonkeys is the fact that their economy is into the toilet. Same situation that we had in the last round where they saved for 1 either way rather than going for the sort of double eco that would have come in off the back. So it's not too much of a problem for them. They are still on the T side, which is less favored, but at the same time, I'm already a little bit skeptical about their CT sides because they struggled on Mirage, and it's looking like they may struggle on Overpass.
Yeah, it really is starting to kind of live true to something we discussed at the start, as Aaron is going to be looking to drop them like flies as he finds himself to Weber, finding double of his own, leaving just critical on an island. A lot of places to look and really not much he can do, just to have that Glock. Has himself a flash, he's going to be popping that one out to try and get himself something. But Aaron is just going to proceed back into his connector, peeks on out eventually, aided by Weber, who's actually going to steal that one away from him. Will the frag be found?
Yeah, again, now we look towards the buy of the T side. A position now for Fish to boost their economy even further. Of course, if they lose this round, they will have enough money to actually buy back up. The extra 1,400 would push them all to around at least 4,800, and majority of them will even have more than that. And that's definitely enough to actually get themselves a relatively decent buy. Rattlesnake now going for this early aggressive AWP peak. Will not spud anyone. We have already got past, and he has to be careful here. Finds the frag anyway. The smoke definitely benefits him. He's looking towards connector to see if there's any more of an aggressive point. But now through the smoke, he has to be careful. It looks like he's about to get surrounded. And, well, that's a quick trade early on. Ovka's going to get an AWP, which was an avenue to get a couple of kills. And, well, that's the sort of value of sometimes maybe falling back. I do understand the aggression, but at the same time, the risk didn't pay off this time. Critical. He's got them a second.
He's got a second to work with, but it is going to be bit of a tough one so far as Cruiser is going to take down Cryptix, now opening his swap even further. It is going to be that 4 versus 2. Looking to see what Weber can bring to the table. He's the man to watch over towards the A site. Just going to be playing over towards Transformer, it looks like. As he's just going to be biding his time, waiting for this push to come on in. And it is very much a spread WarMonkeys at this point. They are by no means gathered up to push towards any side at all. In fact, we're seeing pressure put in towards short, pressure over towards A long, and now pressure coming towards mid as well. So realistically, what is Fish's play here? Where do they even look? As they are just going to be faced from so many angles. Mole will find himself a bit of a commiseration frag over towards the B site, but at this point he's got to realize, I've just been played like a book. The bomb's down over towards A, and he's left in a 1 versus 3.
Already looking like a bit of a problem now for the CT side. As said, they'll have enough money to buy back in the next round anyway, and I don't think there's too much of a problem in terms of actual money. Of course, if Mole can save an extra rifle, it could be an avenue to get an AWP on the board or something extra. Again, I think they have enough money for that anyway, but it's still a nice way to actually save something into the next round, as long as well as he has the AK, which is, of course, the favored of the rifles. Either way, T-side do look like they're slightly going on the hump, but do not want to go for anything too drastic here. Their money is not safe, and you can see Cruiser, in fact, is just going to sit in the corner.
And it's just going to be all but biding their time, as we are going to be looking at WarMonkeys, who are starting to claw things back. He did make the great observation that Fish, they're by no means kind of in the gutter. They can keep on buying, and it is a completely perfect buy. There is really kind of nothing fleeting on them at all. They get all the utility they could possibly need, and I think there is one thing that I do struggle with Fish, and it does feel like their utility usage is still fairly individual. I want to see it kind of just a bit more cohesive as a unit. But at the end of the day, right now, they are winning rounds off of just finding these picks and forcing the hand of WarMonkeys here and there. It was a nice round coming out from the T side just before. Whether they can follow it with similar sort of success is going to be a question in itself, because that sort of round when they're that spread out and just kind of trying to really, force a couple of picks here and there across the place, it is pretty damn easy to counter, even from a pug starter setup. So it does give Fish an opportunity to do some damage of their own and just always play this kind of just receding setup where they just fall further back. And we are seeing that come in from Rattlesnake and Weber. They're just going to be right back to the back markers, holding the angles, not giving away anything at all to WarMonkeys, as they will just play down the clock and wait for the opportunity to present themselves to find a frag.
Yeah, again, looking at the positions of the CTs, we have seen a little bit of aggression come out from Mole. Hasn't yet really gone for too much of an avenue, and they have got 3 players currently over towards B early on. The rotation from Cryptics looking like he's ready just in case they do switch. Rattlesnake will hit the leg shot onto Ofka, leaving him low, but this man is deadly, even with low HP. Ali already going to find the player on towards Toilets, and this leaves Rattlesnake with a lot to do. Misses the shot, the flashbang is timed perfectly, and the rotation needs to begin to come in from the remaining CT players. 35 seconds, it is going to be a hit towards this A site, and Rattlesnake already finding off one, rattling off shots. In the skadoodle position, he will miss that shot, and a lot of players are low, but none of them are actually being taken down. Another leg shot for Rattlesnake, but he'll be taken eventually. But there are the trades. Mole, Cryptics finding a couple. Ali still doing his best to bring this round back. And you will hear the fake plant come in. Not yet going for this. Ali should be spotted, and he actually gets the kill anyway. This guy's on fire in this round. 3 kills, 3 headshots, and leaves just Aaron to try and challenge it back.
He's got himself full HP though, so this is going to be the best part for him as he will now knock both of those players low. Critical, just 54 to play. Going to be peeking out. Should be able to catch him off guard if he just goes to the white peak towards long, but instead he's going to be hunting down. Just going to wait by this time. The smoke will be popped off towards the bombs. It gives him a little bit more time to try and fake the defuse, but that's almost a bad play as it allows Ali just to peek on out, aided by long, and find the frag. Ali going absolutely huge in that round. Monster stuff. And the decision to just toggle the bomb flare does, you know, go back to the phrase of somewhat dumbfounded. I feel like they could have just forced a peek on towards long, and from there we would have had a 1 versus 1. Ali, very, very low HP. A shot would have killed him at the end of the day. Would have been a much better, more favorable gunfight to take. And it is a clutch that I do feel is, well,
but he
huge for Ali.
He took 3 players on that HP.
Yeah, it's huge for Ali, but it's ridiculous how Fish let him get away with it.
Yeah, no, it is an absolute insane amount of damage that was done by one man, of course. Now we look towards what can actually be done in this round by the CT side. Definitely don't have too much to play with in this round, of course, and you definitely have to look towards what they are actually going to hope to achieve overall, because really the damage is the idea. The damage is the best possible case scenario. But whether they can actually get too much damage is another thing. Weber will, in fact, find the first with a headshot. Another for Rattlesnake will be nice and easy as well, as he's picked up an A-King, can peek back out. Luckily, though, Critical has cleaned up this round single-handedly. Triple kill overall, and a 4th already on the board for WarMonkeys.
A good opportunity for them to really start to grind things out. But Fish, they do get to come back into this one, guns blazing, and it is going to be a double-op setup coming out from them now. On the double AWP in the first map, we actually didn't see a single piece of reaction coming in from WarMonkeys at all, and we kind of hugely railed on them for that, right? And rightly so. So it does kind of lead me onto the prompt in terms of overpass. Surely we have to see a reaction. It's much, I would argue it's actually easier to respond to a double AWP setup on overpass than it is on Mirage. Because all you have to do is just mix in a tiny element of team play and also have your own kind of marksman player on point, and you can dismantle it within just a couple of seconds and a couple of smokes.
Yeah, it does depend. I think Dignitas are a team that have proven that this strategy definitely can work. If you sort of look towards Rubino playing that secondary AWP over towards the B site, it can be quite effective. And Rattlesnake, nice reactions, hits the shot, but he will be quickly traded out, which does seem to be the story of his life with this AWP. I have to say, when he was on the A site, I think he hit 3, maybe even 4 leg shots in the round, which is just ridiculous to be that unlucky, but maybe just needs to put his aim up a little bit.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one. But still, just leg shots alone, quite a lot of damage to work with as Weber will actually drop off Ofka, so kind of open things up a little bit further for Fish as they are just going to be prying this round into their favor. Looking at just 2 players now on the WarMonkeys perspective, Critical and Capping. It's a pretty damn tough one for them to try and kind of worm their way out of this one. They've got 45 seconds, give or take a few, to try and work with, but one thing they've really not got going for them is they've got really no rotates they can force. So they are, no matter what, going to be going up against 2 players on either site. So it comes down to, can they hit the shots? Now, in terms of utility, they have a lot to work with, and I'd be shocked if we don't see a Molotov come out from Critical in terms of barrel, but he's actually relatively far away, just going to allow Capping into a 1 versus 1, and that is just always ridiculous at this point. Now, Critical will find the quick trade, but it is a trade still just a little too late, because now he's in a 1 versus 3, a much tougher situation to try and pull off, and eventually you're going to find himself being pushed in from practically every angle.
Yeah, already looking towards Critical to get the bomb down. faking it. He's only got a few seconds.
Once he allows them to get close like that, as much as they were only coming in from a choke point, the phrase and the reason why I chose the kind of section of practically every round is or practically every angle, sorry, is once he goes for that plant, they then have an opportunity to run straight, kind of just down that pathway. Then they can push in from that short angle from the right side, from the left side. They can come in from elevated above him, and there's no opportunity for him to basically even take the gunfight because he's just caught almost with his pants down going for that bomb plant.
Yeah, again, will be a buy on the board for the T side. Of course, 4 rounds on overpass isn't the worst case scenario, but you do want to see a little bit more for them coming out, considering I'm not too hopeful for their CT side. Fish will be throwing out the nade, and that's nice. Mole, with this AWP, not the best position to have it, will in fact switch over to the pistol, and because the rest of the teammates are blind, they're not going to be able to help out capping at all. Ali, however, putting up a good fight with Critical beside him, finding 2 quick kills and getting themselves back into this round in a 3 versus 3. However, they're all low. Cryptics will find the first, but again, Critical, he has been, well, absolutely phenomenal with his aim so far. Weber from the flank will grab one more. And now Ovka, he's in a 1 versus 2, no chance. Teammates again.
Yeah, it does kind of highlight that we are seeing kind of a little bit more from Fish in terms of consistency as
One
individuals. It is a yeah, that actually is a point in itself. But we are seeing a pause, and I do kind of have to question if this is a tactical pause. I do think that actually it is a relatively good opportunity, though it does kind of prompt the question, and we tend to debate this quite a lot in terms of whether it's worth taking the tactical pause pre-buy in terms of just right before you go into that round with the buy, or pre-buy in terms of the meaning of when you're on the eco round. I actually think this is relatively good, judging by the way that WarMonkeys have been playing. They can take a bit of a breather, then they can go into this pistol round very much light-hearted. You kind of can raise the combating point that if they do just get completely wiped off the face of the earth. Oh, what? I didn't even catch that.
We've got the Iceland flag.
Yeah, there we go. Why is that not on the stream? That should be on the stream. Can we overlay that? Like, even if it's not in the game, just crop it and overlay it over the flag.
Over the top.
Like that's how it works. You just have to remember hide it when we transition scenes.
Yeah,
that's how production works, right?
But either way, like back to the sort of point you were making, I think it's definitely one of 2 ways. Like, yes, if you take the pause before an eco round, you have extra time to maybe tweak a couple of things, like notice where players are standing and say, okay, well, we can counter this in this way, or this way. At the same time, if you go into an eco round, you then get destroyed. Sometimes you can start to doubt the strategy that was back in your head.
I do want to just kind of really dissect one point. If you go into a round with just pistols and you're trying to pick up tendencies of peaks, you need to be very, very careful about what tendencies you pick up. You have to have the brain power to realize, and overall really just the intellect to know, okay, this is a peak that he's been making quite a lot, and he's doing repeatedly, even on eco rounds, or, okay, this is just a one-off peak he's doing just to counter me because he knows I've got pistols. That is, I think that's a huge point in itself that I just wanted to make sure was kind of out there. But it does bring us full circle, now back to the point of, we've discussed kind of the premise of why the pause is coming in. Now we have to discuss, well, what are they going to do with the pause? Because they have a lot of opportunities to get close.
Rush B, don't stop.
Is that where we're at? Is that how far gone you think things are? Because if you are kind of suggesting that it's a rush B, don't stop sort of moment, it makes me think that...
On this round, I say, why not? They've only got pistols. Might as well just either get it done quickly and go on to your strategy.
I was more referring to what are they going to do with the pause of the buy round, but...
We're not going into a buy round, Ryan. Come on.
I want to talk about the efficiency of the pause.
I think a lot of the stuff they can do is, for starters, countering Rattlesnake shouldn't be too difficult. He either goes aggressive or he sits on the site. He hasn't done anything too special other than that.
He's been doing this quite a lot as well. If you go into yesterday's qualifier, he was literally walking out of positions on both sides of the map and finding frags. So if they just hold their smokes right, that should be simple enough to counter. It is a bit of a different story when it comes down to the rest of the players. The Rattlesnake is sort of on his own little island. Then we are looking at these kind of dynamic pairs of players who are sitting over towards the A site, sitting over towards B, and it does seem like a harder shell to crack. Yeah,
well, there's plenty of different avenues. I think a lot of the time they are just going a little bit too dry into a lot of the sites, whereas this is a map where rotations are actually incredibly effective. For starters, you can just throw like fake smokes onto a site and then quickly rotate back over to B and have less players to deal with. The only thing is a lot of that does rely on a sort of pick, because most teams, if you have all 5 players left alive, will just go for a sort of static play and not over-rotate too early. Either way, we are going to get to see what they do in this sort of pistol buy round. They've gone for a couple, well, mainly P250s, a couple of flashes onto Critical, and then that one Tech 9 onto Cruiser. But straight away you can just see them running aggressively. Weber's about to have a lot of players coming his way. Will in fact spray down 3, looking for more. Rattlesnake's there to cover, and the bomb is down with Critical just ready and waiting. Should have rushed B.
Yeah, it's not quite a rush B, but it's still a rush. And it's
Should have.
probably still
rushed B.
shoulda, coulda, didn't, frankly put. And I think it would have been the same outcome. They did just get mowed down.
They would have won.
Oh, they would have won the round, like, flat out.
Yeah.
They would have just pushed in. It would have been great. We would have seen kind of the best pistol frags of all time. An iconic moment in
I don't think they need
UK and Icelandic Counter-Strike.
best. Okay, yeah. UK and Icelandic Counter-Strike. Maybe you'd see the best pistol fragging movie of all time.
Who knows? There's actually some pretty good pistol frags in terms of source. But bringing this one back full circle, now we can go back to something we discussed quite a lot. We put a lot of thought into what WarMonkeys would do in terms of now they're on their kind of buy round 5 rifles across the board. Utility is a little bit sparse, but it's enough. I do kind of really want to stress this. They have 3 smokes, Tom. No, make that 4 smokes. So they have more than enough smokes to go for an execute.
Matt!
If they don't use them, I'm actually going to just I'm just going to leave. If they don't use these smokes, it's almost basic stuff at this point. I might not be able to do arithmetic, but
they've got
they
7 smoke.
They have 8,000 smokes, boys. You heard it here first. Kaping, going to open things up with a frag on towards Weber. If they take it one step further, Rattlesnake will be dropped down to just 23 HP as they will plink on away at his HP. A flash will be popped off, so prompting the idea that Rattlesnake wants to either escape or go for a peek, which he is going to be going for the former as he falls back towards the site, but then Aaron getting dropped relatively low as well.
Yeah, a lot of damage being done at the moment. We'll even catch out Mole trying to flank, and it seems like maybe they have worked out a few of these tendencies. Only a couple of players on towards this A site. Nice shot from Ovka. Opening up the site, leaves 1 player left. They will use their nades quickly. He actually throws one straight at Aaron, not realizing he's there, and will eventually kill him as his teammate throwed a nice smoke to blind him. You do have to look now towards Cryptics and say, okay, bud, you probably just got to save your weapon. I don't think there's any chance, and, well, pretty explosive round coming out there. I do think that a lot of the stuff that came towards the end of the round was just Fish basically trying to hold on to the round. Like you saw Mole going for a very aggressive peak, which got caught out eventually. Aaron, not so much, and, well, I'd say Rattlesnake always seems to get tagged so early that later in the rounds he is basically just on his last legs most of the time.
Pretty much all that's ringing through my ears right now, just off the back of that explanation, is we've basically just described Fish on their kind of almost giving their last wishes to someone as they just fade off into the distance.
That's what Cryptics is probably doing right now. I'm liking the fact that the Ts are not particularly going for anything too crazy, like trying to remove the weapon from their opposition's hand. They know that in terms of money, they have been struggling quite a bit, and that's one of the avenues where Fish has been able to get to a higher amount of rounds. However, this is a good opportunity for them, because you have to look towards the economy of the CTs as well. Add 1,400 onto the Ts, they have something to play with. Add 1,400 or 1,900 onto the CTs, they're going for an eco, and it's only really Cryptics who can buy. So this is a good opportunity for the Ts to even have an opportunity to get themselves to 7. And you look at an 8-7, yeah, maybe I said 9 for the T side. I still think that they can do it, and that's more because I was expecting both teams to be pretty bad at the CT side.
It's not by all means been a pitch-perfect CT side, but it's been better than what we expected, and we're walking onto the C.
Oh look, Rattlesnake got tagged. Never
Rattlesnake got tagged.
It's
It's almost like it's a premonition of every single round, as Rattlesnake just loves the feeling of being 4 HP. It just kind of really fuels him.
He likes the pressure.
Pressure, likes the pain. Who knows? At this point, he's just going to be enjoying the style as he is low. Mole will make a bit of a frag work, taking down Cruiser. Will eventually get traded out by Ali nonetheless, as it will be back to a 4 versus 4. Rattlesnake is just wielding an AWP, so it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things, as he's just going to be currently holding the angle.
That's the weapon you want when you're low.
Exactly, so it's not by all means kind of...
You miss your shot, you're dead anyway.
Well, it depends on what sort of angle you go for. The skill in being an AWP is you have a couple of choices and angles.
Nah, you miss your shot, you're dead.
Okay, top level analysis, ladies and gents.
As always.
As always, yeah. Looking, of course, to see what will be delivered in this round from WarMonkeys. They found themselves a pick. They've got Rattlesnake low, which is almost a given at this point. Whether they can play off of it is going to be a question in itself, as they are going to be trying to deliver a couple more tanks through the wood.
It's a very passive setup at the moment on the B side as well.
Yeah, this is actually could work out in their favor, providing they can land the shots. Especially if Cryptic gets the timing on point. He won't, but he does manage to flick back nonetheless. Weber defined to his zone. We do see a bit more response being made by Capping. But he's in a 1 versus 3. He's getting given a lot of 1 versus 1 zone. This is almost ridiculous. He finds himself the second flag, topping it up to 3 at this point. Now he's just in that 1 versus 1 up against Aaron. The smoke has gone down, which hugely favors him, allowing him to go for that safe plant. He's actually just going to be toggling the defuse. Gets to tuck back in towards the site.
Have you got it? Yes, he has. 1 second. Oh, I thought he'd screwed it there. Aaron He's got to try and fight back against this bomb. Now, the position currently being taken by Capping is quite a common one. I'd actually quite like to see him go for the runaround all the way back round to the other side, but the fact is that has a risk behind it in terms of timing. Aaron throws the smoke onto the bomb. This is all just to bait out his opposition, but because he's not toggling it, there's no reason for him to really go for the sort of position. Aaron may have just mind-gamed himself here. He's got to go back towards that bomb and try and go for the defuse now. Keep tapping it again and again. Capping will go for the shots, and Aaron, he gets in. He hasn't got it.
When you look at a player in that sort of scenario, and you go, okay, he's got the balls to leave it to go down to 1 second and plant. Silky smooth voice. Again, loving the practice you've been putting on the vocal tones. You're making it work. You're pulling it off, which is good. Maybe we should have a kind of a Tombis 14 EP at some point.
God save our gracious queen.
Gotta keep it up.
Come on, corgis.
Of course, I was gonna say if you're looking at a player who's got the kind of basically the balls to play down
Corgis.
to 1 second,
Corgis
I'm not
can be
surprised
used
that he
for
didn't
any
necessarily
euphemism.
kind of play off the fake. And are we just gonna use corgis as a go-to euphemism at this point?
Yeah, he's playing with his corgis.
Okay then.
Mammoth corgis right there.
Well, I'm just gonna let it be. Let the corgis
Let
sit.
it be. I'm done. I'm done with the singing. Either way, CT side going into this last round. As said, as mentioned previously, if they lost the last round, it would be tough. And Rattlesnake will be the first to drop. This time they do check the angles. He actually played that exact spot last time. They had an eco position, and this time the T's take multiple angles. Weber with the Deeg, not going to connect. And this is already Cruiser finding another kill for himself in this round. Looking like an 8-7 is all but undeniable. Aaron with the rifle will have to go pretty huge, and you do have Mole up close and personal ready. Will in fact find one with a Deeg and a second. That's nice. Make it a third. Mole goes huge, and Aaron's found another in the meantime. Somehow they brought this round back into contention. It's all down to Ovka. He has no hope, and somehow Mole just goes absolutely massive and wins them the round.
Doubting the individual ability of Aaron and Mole is a bit of a ridiculous predicament, right? Because in terms of almost just doing a general analysis on UK Counter-Strike, we have a lot of good individuals in the grand scheme of things, but they are usually pretty terrible in teams, right? So that's always been a problem. So in terms of individual performance, that is almost expected from Mole and Aaron. They land a lot of huge shots like that up against not just kind of single-handed UK opposition, which is something that I'd say you commonly try and argue against.
Have you ever heard of the sweet toxic wastes?
No, but I'm
Really?
assuming you're about to educate me on them.
They're like the sourest sweets ever, and that's basically the UK scene.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I was going to come up with a great joke, but you know, we can keep that towards the end. You can keep the kind of the salty BM right at the end of this one. Still a 9-6 scoreline. Just throwing a bit of extra
You're not going to
salt.
make the paper joke again,
No, the paper
you?
joke's been so abused at this point. We've just kind of hammered that one right down.
You've told me that joke like 8 times.
It's such a good joke, though. It really kind of
really,
sums up everything.
not. It's a terrible
It's a terrible joke, but it sums up the scene in a nutshell, really. And I can't remember who actually made it.
Oh,
Ovka.
Ovka.
Ovka going to be sliding on in with a quick triple kill, just back-to-back
Nice
headshots.
boost.
Very nice boost coming out from the pistol round. Can they make it work one step further? It will be Rattlesnake to find himself a quick headshot in return, but it's still 2 versus 4, and they're close to the snipe, but they're not quite on it.
Yeah, CT side just spamming away. Ali will add another, but eventually Rattlesnake is there to trade. He's doing quite a lot here, getting himself 3 kills already, which of course has 900 to his bank account for the next round as a minimum. He has the bomb, so he can play the time and go for those rotations. Minute left on the clock, no problem there. And now it's whether or not the CTs actually opt to react. Now, a bomb plant here would be very valuable, especially for him, because $800 added to what he already has in terms of the 900 made, it gets him ever closer to even having an AWP coming in on that 3rd round. So that'd be hugely valuable. Now we have to look at what is actually being done. And, well, the CT side don't look like they're about to rotate. They're almost saying, okay, he's going to mind game us into rotating to A, and instead he's actually just going to go to A. So making a long sort of rotation all the way background long. Now, the second he goes for a bomb plant, they should be able to hear it, and then he is into a much more difficult predicament. But even getting the bomb down after that sort of position is so valuable, and I think he's going to get away with it. It's whether or not he can win the duels at the end, and that's another circumstance altogether. There's also a kit onto that CT side, and if they play this one in a smart scenario, it should be nice and easy for them.
Yeah, the kit is something that's going to bode rather well in terms of just allowing them to slow things right down and not rush their decision-making. But Rattlesnake is just going to be holding a fairly off angle as he actually is going to face a little bit more wider. Would have preferred it if he just kind of almost held a little bit open towards that fence, because it does mean that there's an opportunity, but still finds himself a quick headshot on towards Capping.
Oh, okay!
Landed on towards Critical, and he makes it work. Rattlesnake pulls an ace out of his back pocket, steps up for his team, and I lead you back full circle to my point about individuals in UK Counter-Strike. We might not have any good teams, but we do have some talented individuals.
As long as they're playing against Iceland.
Don't ruin my moment for me, okay? Still an ace on a pistol round. And you can't, even against that sort of topic, you can't trash that, right? He whammed his way out of a
that
incredible
was a great
situation.
play. But he hasn't just won a major. Calm down. Is that a roll of cores in your trousers, or are you just pleased to see me?
Never pleased to see you at all, in any way, shape, or form.
Ryan specifically enjoyed that one very much.
You have to respect that clutch. It was a good clutch.
It was.
If you can't, I feel like you're stamping away his ability to clutch. It was good. Cryptix with the SMG finds herself a frag on towards Cruiser. Do you want me to kind of just gloss over it and just be like, WarMonkeys, they gave him away that round, but it was still a huge round from the Icelandic side.
Wait, they did give away the round. They lost a 1v5.
Yeah, they did lose a 1v5.
But it's huge pistol play from Rattlesnake.
Yeah, that's
now we got to see if he can do it against the best teams. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, I mean, you're always going to wait for that because you'd love the opportunity to berate.
I love the UK.
Like,
I'm wearing UK socks.
don't lie to us. It's all just a bit of a
I didn't say I like UKCS. I said I like the UK. I'm a patriot, so I will always support whatever we are in. I was there when we beat Renegades.
In a 1 versus 5 this time round. Going to find himself the first, looking to follow in the footsteps, but when he better make it work. Does have that CZ, which is by all means not the greatest weapon. Pull off a 1 versus 5, and Aaron is going to be there to mop him up with the SMG.
Yeah, again, a similar circumstance to what we saw in sort of the last game where they've switched over and they have themselves an advantage, almost likely to be an exact same scenario of a sort of 12-6 position. And I'm not holding out for the sort of Icelandic CT side. I didn't see anything that I was particularly impressed on Mirage. The one thing that I am looking forward to is Ovkar on the AWP, because he was actually very, very good on Mirage when he got the opportunity to have it. And if he gets that opportunity on the CT side of Overpass, it could be another great avenue to play behind. Either way, again, they've gone for a few pistols in this round, a couple of P250s along with a Deeg onto Ali. Unfortunately, though, they have sort of gambled to the wrong positions, gone aggressive towards Connector, and now, well, it's all going to come down to just a couple of running pistols.
They're trying to go for almost a bit of a drive-by. It seems like the pistols off the T side are actually going to be doing some work as Cryptix going to tap away on towards Ofka. Just managed to connect the shots. So it will just be Ali and Capping left, and a bit of a tough one, really. Not too much they can do. Just going to be playing the crossfire over towards Connector, trying to find themselves an exit. As overall they are just going to bide their time and really just run that clock right down, making sure that at least he can try and get away as Rattlesnake will come in from behind with the UMP, finds himself the first, snaps away for the second, as he will make himself some sweet, sweet money.
Yeah, now we wait to see what the CTs can do. Now, at least Ovka will have an AWP to play with, so I am looking forward to seeing whether he'll take that aggressive peek over towards the mid position, jump up on the bench towards Party and try and take the spot. Smoke will be thrown down early to stop any sort of aggression from Monster, as long as it is actually hit. And, well, it looks like it's just about made it. Doesn't matter, though, because they're running through it.
Yeah, they just don't care at this point. They have just got those big corgis, in praise of you, Tom, as they are just going to run on through. They will find themselves 2 frags. Ali, what?
Furry corgi. Corgi's a furry.
No.
What?
Kalen.
I'm talking about dogs. What are you talking about?
Fish. A 3 versus 3 to play with. Rattlesnake is going to be there with the rifle to hold down the fortress, backed up by his 2 teammates, of course. WarMonkeys, they want to go up close and personal. Offcar will be raining down the hailing fire from above, finds himself a pick on towards Weber, and if they can keep on plinking them down without this bomb going down, it's going to be relatively huge. But then the individual peaks are going to come on, and Mole and Rattlesnake are going to find them, leaving just Offcar in a 1 versus 2. And he's actually a player that I would kind of actually hedge some money on pulling this one off. He's been ridiculous with this AWP.
Especially when the bomb hasn't gone down yet. They have to cross, and there we go. Rattlesnake. Nice, easy kill for Offcar, and there's the second as well. AWP does pay dividends overall, and yeah. I'll let you decide what happened there.
I don't even want to analyze that. That was just some interesting decisions. Like I know they had to peek, but it was almost just shocking they went about it in the way they did, because it wasn't really too calculated, and that allows just it just allows Offgar to fly on out, find the first, go for a simple second peek as well, and it actually isn't difficult for him at all to land those shots. So at least make it a little bit more complex for him, right? It's kind of the thought process I look towards. Is now
Here
he's
we
going to be
go.
looking to find himself another pick. Will not land the shot this time around, as they are just going to be bobbing and weaving their way out of fire. As Ofka dropped down to 13 HP. He drops the defensive smoke.
Yeah, trying to fall back. In fact, the meantime, Cryptics will find a frag back, but he is as well isolated by Cruiser. Now, you have to talk about the fact that this was a sort of bonus round in the last for the T side, and this is their opportunity to come back with their buy and reset the economy of the CT side. So, huge opportunity for them here. They have a man advantage pushing towards Ali on the B side, and I think there is a position at the moment where Capping could get there relatively quickly. The only problem is, by the time he's there, it's likely his teammate will be dead and the bomb will be down. Monster push about to come in. The bomb taking the lead on this push, which always has some risks behind it. I would rather not see the bomb go first. But either way, they've got so many players, a player advantage across the board. And while Capping will get there, but it doesn't matter. Weber finds the kill either way. Now you have to wait for these rotations once again. And, well, it is going to be the connector position being held at the moment by Mole. Doesn't actually manage to do too much. There we go. Peeks out and finds a kill eventually, and now it is just Capping left. Nice shot from Rattlesnake.
He's going to be doing the damage, giving Fish one step closer.
9-1 in the second half.
Yeah, it's almost as if we're just swapped in Cryptics all over again in the second half of the first map.
Yeah, it's just Rattlesnake on point, slithering around.
Oh, the SNK is back, boys.
Rattlesnake with his big corgis.
Yeah. Of course, just 3 rounds away now from making it work, just swimming on through. WarMonkeys still perched at 7, and they do have kind of something they can try and work with, but when you look at this round on paper, this should just be, you know, Fish getting to 14 from there. It basically is, WarMonkeys, you have one last chance. This is basically what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like, again, they're going to get much of a chance on the CT side. Similar circumstance to the last game, where they sort of didn't get much of an opportunity to start their T side. This time, they're not getting much of an opportunity to start their CT side. And, well, this has come down to their actual ability to win the pistol rounds on the second half, which seems to be a bit of a problem for them. Either way, Ofka has managed to get a kill and pick up a Molotov alongside a rifle, which, of course, does have the ability to take things into his own hands. He's been a pretty good player across this series. His AWPing has definitely been the most prominent of his rifling ability, but at the same time, with an AK, I wouldn't count him out yet. The only problem is, on the other side of things, we still have a lot of utility, full rifles, and of course, something the CTs don't have, armor.
Yeah, it really is going to be a bit of a bleak one when it comes down to that sort of narrative. They are still going to be trying to hold things off, and some utility will be utilized. Tom's just going to be giggling on away at that one. I'm not sure whether you kind of want to enlighten us on what you find personally so funny, but I think we can all work it out for ourselves.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Fish now, just going to be looking for those individual picks. Still.
Get baited. Bait and switch. CT side are going to be completely in the wrong position as the Ts make their push right in the last second. Rattlesnake will get smoked, and Mole will finish off Ofka. This leaves just pistols left. We'll find another, and if this was an individual round taking a couple of players with straight up USPs, you'd say, okay, that's not too bad. But they're now 14-7 down. Fish looking ever closer to taking this one over the line.
We are very much coming up to this round where we said this was pretty much, you know, make it or break it for WarMonkeys. They have one opportunity with these rifles to try and pull out the best possible Counter-Strike they can play. Because realistically, we are looking at kind of the representation coming in from the UK, and on the flip side, the representation coming in from Iceland, right? It's almost a bit of a world champion-esque matchup. So it's been a bit of a bleak one, but still pretty big round for Iceland, per se, with these rifles.
Really got the fact you called this a world champion-esque matchup.
I mean, when do you get to see an Icelandic team play, right?
World Cup football and win 2-1.
Yeah, but I mean, some of us don't watch football.
Some of us are stupid.
Yeah, yeah, for watching football.
7 years old.
For watching football. Fish. They've got themselves a man disadvantage, so it doesn't quite sit in their court just yet, as WarMonkeys have made it work with a couple of picks here and there being found by Cruiser and Critical. But how far are they willing to extend things when it comes down to actually making the plays? They have got themselves a very, very passive CT side setup. The only one really aggressive at all is Cruiser, and that's not really an aggressive position really in itself, is it? It's just going to be holding the corner ever so passively, waiting for the push to come in and hoping that his crosshair positioning is going to be on point for him to try and find a shot, as he will go for it, finds himself a headshot, but it's not quite going to be enough as Cryptics too quick on the trigger to find his head respectively. Now numbers are beginning to dwindle. There still is a man on the
Check.
site. Critical. Swinging around. Punished the first, gets the second as well. Now looking for the third. Eventually Weber will come on in. So much room being given to Weber at this point. But WarMonkeys somewhat getting away with things a little bit too comfortably.
Yeah, Weber needs to find one of these 1v1 duels. Really, they should just wait for him to go for the bomb plant and then finish this one off, because he has to go for it eventually. Going for these aggressive pushes does give him an opportunity to actually take the round. Weber in this 1v1, looking like he's going to get it wrong this time as Ali finishes off the round. And a lot of that came down to pretty basic stuff once again. If you had 35, 40 seconds left on the clock and you don't check the site, something has gone severely wrong, and eventually that means that the early attempt at a bomb plant does foil their plans. Either way, the T's will be coming straight back in with the buy. CT's with the auto shotty onto capping. Looking to put a cap in that ass.
Original. I'll give you that. Of course, he's just going to be looking to see what WarMonkeys can do. Give themselves another chance to keep on fighting. You're fighting the good fight, per se. They are going to be trying to do the damage. Be pushing up close and personal. I do kind of raise a couple of questions with the shotgun in terms of the decisions it will make. Never really been a good fan of the shotguns.
Don't hate, appreciate.
You know what? I'll try and appreciate it. I'll try, but if it makes a huge mistakes and tries to take some long range battles, like seeing a Max 7 contest A long, then no. So I'm hoping he doesn't quite go for anything that ridiculous. So far, so good. He's going to be playing on short, just going to be taking the good fight, per se. Cruiser got himself the famous. They are just going to be checking these angles, very much segmented. The smoke will go down, of course, just to aid somewhat, but it really is just static play coming out from WarMonkeys. And the one concerning factor, and something you can kind of discern from the entire way the CT side are positioning themselves, they have no information, so they have no idea what's coming, which means they have to be absolutely on point when it comes down to their holds, and most importantly, they can't be caught off guard.
Yeah, T side getting ready for that B hit now. The auto shotty will be up close, and it does have that opportunity to just spam bullets away if it's to rotate back towards that monster spot. You have to say that Ali needs to be ready for the peak, though. He's got himself an AK, and that's obviously going to be the most valuable rifle he could have. Does a lot of damage, but doesn't quite manage to get the frags. Now we're looking at capping. Finds himself one. Looking for the second. Finds it. Doesn't quite manage a third, but does a lot of damage in the meantime. Now we look towards Cruiser on the flank. Weber's found critical in the meantime, giving them the man advantage, and Ofka is actually going to be coming from the same angle. It looks like Ofka wanted some sort of a boost. Not going to happen as Cruiser peeks straight into Weber, who's just cleaned this round back into a easy scenario, what should be one. However, there's Ofka, definitely the best player we've seen so far on this team. Looking for a little bit more. Flashbang will be popped in, and there we go. Rattlesnake finishes off. 3 kills for him, 2 kills for Weber. And map and series point, qualification point. The Queen is going to be watching for this one with her corgis out on the table.
It has been a bit of an interesting matchup so far. It's been filled with a lot of... I'm going to go as far as to say it's been filled with a mixture of cringe, sarcasm, a couple of entertaining frags here and there.
Stamp.
I'm just going to let that be on it in itself. You've literally just come out with that just after I mentioned the kind of the cringe and the sarcasm you've mixed in, and it's almost like you kind of timed it just right on a tee. Like, I apologize for anyone at home who's having to be subjected to this play. As Weber will open things up, finds himself a frag on towards capping. Will be a second to be found by Cryptics. Rattlesnake to find another, and well, good night, sweet dreams, WarMonkeys. You are going to be staying at home as Fish123 are going to be coming to Ukraine.